Okay, so today we are going to cover foundation number 5, but before we do that, let's recap the last 4 foundations just to make sure that you remember what all of the foundations are, because they all build on each other. So foundation 1 is hydration, proper hydration. Foundation 2 is adequate sleep. Foundation 3 is circadian rhythm sequencing, and that includes a couple biohacking activities, including grounding and cold thermogenesis or heat thermogenesis, depending on what your body needs. Foundation 4 is balanced micronutrient dense nutrition. So basically making sure that the quality and quantity of foods you're eating are really nutritionally dense and in the right portions for you at the right times. So that brings us to foundation 5, which is activity, movement, and motion. And I don't label this foundation 5 or this 5th foundation exercise, because this is the foundation that actually most people are engaging and applying pretty consistently, but also using it in overdrive. So anything that we actually have a strength in can become a weakness if we use it in ways that are unhealthy. And so this is where you'll hear you can't outrun a bad diet. A lot of people are trying to outrun bad diets through their exercise. So I like to back it up a notch and not even focus on activity or exercise until people have their other first 4 foundations in place, because then you can bring in exercise that's appropriate for each person. And you really want to, my goal with coaching is to really encourage people to do activities, to engage activities that bring them joy versus feel like punishment, because by combining that principle with the activity, you can actually also start to rewire the nervous system that may be out of balance from too much activity trying to outrun bad things. It's both tangible and intangible, physical and I guess mind and heart kind of matter. So the pitfalls that I see with exercise, we just talked about. One of them is overactivity. Really doing too much cardio and not enough diversification with their activity. So cardio is important at a level, but it actually doesn't need to be it's not the thing that actually burns the fuel as much as strength training and mobility moves paired in with the proper cardio that can include interval training, long distance, but only in like your yellow zone or zone 2. So not always a high heart rate all the time, but creating heart rate variability through interval training and then diversifying. So, but that can look like somebody who loves yoga doing hill repeats twice a week and incorporating yoga. That can look like somebody who loves to dancing, because that gets the heart rate up, but then going and doing maybe a twice a week weightlifting class. That can look like a runner incorporating some, maybe not CrossFit, but some mobility moves a few times a week. So you want to do variance and then incorporating stretching or yoga or functional moves so that you keep all of your tissues loose and agile. Another pitfall is that people actually think they have to go big or go home. And oftentimes I want people just to start with walking and simple stretching and just keeping it simple, because if your body hasn't been moving or it's been over moving, you want to bring it back to square one and get it balanced before you take it full throttle. It's not 0 to hero is not always helpful for the nervous system or for fat releasing, fuel releasing goals. So those are 2, either going too far or punishing your body, thinking that you have to get rid of what you did naughty. So movement, motion, and activity can look like a lot of things. It can look like hiking, it can look like running, it can look like yoga, it can look like the gym, it can look like mountain biking, it can look like skiing, it can look like so many things. But the idea is to diversify your movements so that your body, your physical body, has a whole longevity approach not just a punishment approach. I probably said that like 4 times, but I think I get caught there a lot because that's actually, people use exercise for their mental health. They use it to lose weight. They use it to focus on release all these negative things that might be going on in their life, when really we need to be using movement to celebrate being alive. So foundation 5 is activity, motion, and movement, and particularly focusing on the things that really bring you joy. Oh, the other thing I will say about that is that some people, extremes bring them joy. That is how they're wired. That's their personality, their character. And so them going extreme is what brings them joy, where somebody else being mellow and engaging slow movements and doing things that center them in a different kind of way, that might be how they're wired. And so activity and motion and movement can actually be an area where we have comparison issues because somebody else is pushing their body super hard and that brings them joy, where I would rather just garden and rest and do yoga and walk, and that brings me joy, but I feel like I'm not doing enough because I'm not keeping up with a person who looks like they're pushing it super hard. It needs to be very individualized for you. And so also working through comparison issues is something that activity can bring up for people. So if you have any questions or thoughts, drop it in the comments, but foundation 5 is activity, motion, and movement. Oh, I forgot to also share why it's important. Besides the mental health and besides longevity for functionality and like muscle building and supporting your musculoskeletal, you're also helping flush toxins, because your heart rate, as it gets up and you get your heart rate up, then you can actually move your blood through your system faster, and it triggers pathways that are linked to autophagy and growth hormone. But also when you're moving, you're building your muscle. There was one other thing. Mainly you're moving your blood through your system and you're oxygenating things, so you can pull out toxins and flush them, and you can put nutrients where they belong, and it's really helpful for overall general health in supplying nutrients where it needs to go. So if you're consuming the proper nutrients, you also need to help them get supplied to the places that they need to go while pulling the trash out and emptying that out, and exercise helps with all of that. All right. Now that I put that point in there, feel free to drop some comments. Let me know your thoughts. Foundation 5, activity, motion, and movement. And we'll see you for Foundation 6 next time.